Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Great episode, but before I get into my review, if you're new to this channel, hello and welcome. I summarize and review the latest Sencha Kapımı episodes, say what I like, what I didn't like, what I think might happen next. If you like these kinds of videos, like, comment, share, but most importantly subscribe so we can meet on a weekly basis. As always, let's talk a little bit about the side storylines before we dive into the Eda and Serkan storyline. So first we have Melek, Leyla, Erdem and Tahir. As we already know from last episode, Tahir is kind of liking, crushing on Melek. Melek doesn't like him at all because he works for the old lady, and Leyla really likes Tahir, so Leyla is asking for help from Melek to kind of raise the spark in Tahir and for him to start liking her. And Tahir is doing the same thing with Erdem. He asks for Erdem's help to kind of spark the thing for Melek because he really fancies her. One thing that we also found out is why Melek actually cut her hair, and it's because Tahir said in last episode that he likes her long hair, and because she doesn't like him, she was like, I have to cut my hair in order for him not to like me. But it kind of backfired because he complimented her new hairstyle, so it was really funny to see Melek kind of giving advice to Leyla and then Erdem kind of sabotaging Leyla's try to make Tahir kind of fall in love with her. It was really hilarious because Melek was like, well, don't you watch romantic series where the folders are falling out of her hands and he helps her, blah blah blah. So she kind of wanted to reenact this scene, and right when Tahir wanted to pick up the things, or just right after the impact, Erdem swooped in and took Tahir away, and I felt really bad for Leyla, but it was really hilarious. And also, in order for Melek to help Leyla, Melek also wanted something from Leyla, so she wants to find something to get Erdem fired because she kind of hates him. And yeah, it's just really hilarious to watch them all together. Then we have Engin and Pırıl. Pırıl is still trying to avoid her father. She's being tailed by her father's man, and Engin is kind of noticing it, that this car is constantly behind them, and everywhere they are, this car is also there. So he's very suspicious, wants to talk to the people, but Pırıl is always kind of finding reasons for him not to go, to give him some other tasks so she can talk to her father, send those people away. And her father is like, well, I really want to meet him because you married him, and she's really stressed out. And Erdem is misinterpreting everything, so he thinks that because they're so focused on work, they didn't really have time to go on a honeymoon, to have some romantic time. So he wanted to book a 15-day honeymoon for them to South America, but Pırıl is like, no, we have to work, blah blah blah. So is always kind of pushing it away. And one night when her father said he wants to visit them, Pırıl is like, well, let's go for a walk, blah blah blah. But Engin is like, no, we're watching a movie. So he was really confused, but then it clicked for him that she wants some romantic time with him. So he lights up all those candles in the living room, and then him sitting in the bathroom. It was just hilarious. And then the doorbell rings, so Pırıl is panicking because she thinks that it's her father. And who was it? Erdem, because he was really hurt that they want him fired, kind of. Then he sees all those romantic things there, and he's like, oh my god, you wanted me to forgive you? Of course I will forgive you, blah blah blah. Engin is losing his mind, and in the meantime Pırıl gets the message from her father that he can't come because he has other things to do. Then we have Ceren and Ferit, so we don't really see them that much, only Ceren kind of advising Eda what to do, blah blah blah, and then Ferit and Serkan having a heart-to-heart where Serkan is telling him that he doesn't really feel comfortable with the old lady, that he doesn't trust her, and he has this gut feeling that she is a bad person. So he's really confining in Ferit, and I really like that. To see the arc that Ferit went from the beginning to now, it's just amazing. Then there was this little moment when they had the meeting and Serkan kind of revealed that he doesn't want to work with the prince anymore because for personal reasons, and he wants to cancel the project. Everybody is in shock. And I do think he did that not only because he doesn't like the prince, but also because he doesn't trust the old lady, because if he goes on with this project he might owe the old lady something, so he wants to do it on his own. Ferit is really riled up, being like, how can you do this? We invested so much energy into this project, you can't do this, blah blah blah. But Serkan is like, no, I'm the boss, we have to do this, blah blah blah. Ferit is still very angry at Serkan before they had this heart-to-heart talk. He's like, how stupid can you be? I mean, to let your personal feelings get involved in business, blah blah blah. Why is he doing that? And Jagan is standing next to him and saying, well, sometimes love is making you do things that you can't really understand. So this was kind of a little fight they had, but other than that, there was nothing really going on with them. Then we have Aydan and Ayfer still fighting for Alexander's attention, and Aydan stalked his social media so to find out his daily routine, his sport routine. So Ayfer is also there. Then he goes there, invites him to go with him to the gym because it's quite cold outside. Then they do Aikido. Then Aydan goes to Ayfer's flower shop to kind of question her about the breakup between Serkan and Eda, but Ayfer is really confused. Then Alex comes and is like, well, I want a single rose because I will give it to a very special person at 4 p.m. So Aydan and Ayfer go to his restaurant to see who this special person is. He gives it to a waitress and I was like, okay, is this his daughter? But then he explains it. He always gives a rose to the employee of the month and she's very close to his heart, blah blah blah. So they're really relieved and back on track, trying to pursue him, trying to get his attention. But other than that, nothing much happened. Only Jagan and Melek kind of telling Ayfer that Eda is getting close to the old lady. Ayfer doesn't like that, and them explaining to her that Eda wants to get to know her enemy. So yeah, I think that's all for the side storylines, and we can move on to the Eda and Serkan storyline. So the episode starts with Eda being at the old lady's place, where she's very frustrated, still hurt by what she did to Serkan. The old lady is very pleased. Now the path is clear for the prince to come. Eda gets really angry when she hears that the old lady is kind of pushing her towards the prince, and the old lady is like, well, I want us to be a family again and I'm not a bad person, you just need to get to know me, blah blah blah. And when Eda wants to go, the old lady tells her not to come to work the next day. The next day, Eda goes to work with Melek and Jagan and kind of tells them everything that she wants to play by the old lady's rules, to kind of have her close. Like there's the saying, have your friends close but your enemies closer, or something like that. So that's what she's trying to do, to kind of see and find out the weak spot of the old lady. And when they were talking in front of the company, Serkan arrives and then he just squeezes past Eda, so she gets really affected. He completely ignores her and I was like, yes, Serkan, stay strong because she hurt you so much. So he goes inside, he talks to Layla about something. They see that the entourage of the prince is arriving. The prince starts talking to Eda. He asks her about the breakup because the old lady told him about it. In the meantime, Serkan is asking Layla what she sees, what the prince and Eda are doing. And then when Eda comes in, he's masking their conversation with the business conversation they had. It was just hilarious. Then the prince comes in and is like, well, I wanted to talk to you about the project, blah blah blah. But Serkan is like, you're not fooling me, you're not here because of the project, you're here because of Eda. And then the prince is like, well, yes, because she needs me in such a hard time, blah blah blah. And then Serkan is not liking it at all. Then we see Eda going to the old lady's office, telling her that she wants to continue working at the company and that she doesn't need to worry about Serkan because they broke up, there's a clear line between them, blah blah blah. And to kind of gain the old lady's trust, she's like, well, I want us to be a family again, I want to give you a second chance, blah blah blah. So the old lady's over the moon and kind of accepts everything that Eda is doing. And what I thought was really hilarious is while Eda is still there, Layla and I think Tahir bring the old lady's throne upstairs because Serkan doesn't like it in his office, and it was just hilarious to see that. Then we have this whole meeting happening where Serkan tells everybody that he wants to cancel the project with the prince. Everybody is shocked, like I said. The old lady is like, well, you can't decide everything on your own just because you have 50% shares. So Serkan is like, okay, I'm going to call a board meeting or something, board of directors meeting, and we will vote. And then Eda goes after the old lady and convinces her that the old lady shouldn't do this because Serkan has a right feeling, and if it's a flop, it's his fault. So the old lady is okay, under one condition, you will continue working with the prince. And Eda accepts it, of course, because she wants to be on her good side. So the old lady accepts Serkan's proposition and he's very skeptical why the sudden change of mind. Then we have the scene where Eda and the prince are at the old lady's place, and the old lady is kind of like a hawk, just looking, observing. The prince is like, well, you can talk to me about anything, I'm here for you because I understand the pain you're going through, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I still want to know what happened to that Esma girl. I mean, seriously, this is still a mystery for me. The old lady gets a message and she's like, I have to do something important, blah blah blah. So Eda excuses herself, says she needs to make a call. She spies on the old lady. The man who gives the old lady the envelope tells her to get this information, I needed to risk my life or something like that. Then the old lady gives him money and Eda is taking pictures of everything. So I'm really interested to see what's really in that envelope. Then we have Eda going back to the company, sees a folder that she worked on her place, wants to talk to Serkan. Leyla tells her that Serkan is gone with Engin to a construction site and doesn't really want to tell Eda at first, but then Eda is kind of getting the information from her, so she drives there. Serkan is really surprised to see her there. Then Serkan is telling her that he wants to build something that makes people happy, and also that he feels good near concrete, and it's the same for her near flowers. So for her to kind of grasp the idea why he really wants to build something and wants to be on a construction site and blah blah blah, kind of, that's what I understood from that statement. That's also when he's questioning her why the sudden change of mind from the old lady, if she had something to do with it. She's playing dumb, saying, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Then he tells her, I thought you knew me better. And then Eda gets really frustrated and is like, is this really how it's going to be? And I'm like, girl, seriously, like, you want him to behave in a certain way even though you hurt him. Now you want him to be close to you. Like, it doesn't make sense the way you're thinking, but still, okay, at least you didn't scream at him, so it's a step forward in my eyes. Then it's like, well, what else do you expect from me when you broke up with me? But then at the same time, he's kind of suggesting for them to stay friends, and she accepts it, but then doesn't like it when he says, well, now everybody can live their life how they want to. He sees that she's quite affected by that statement and he's like, unless you have some difficulties with it. And she's like, of course not. She's being really proud and stubborn and says, of course we can be friends, I don't have a problem with that. Then there was this drop on Serkan's shirt and he can't continue working because of that little drop on his shirt, so he needs to go shopping. And in that shop, who's there? The prince. And tells Serkan that he's very upset that Serkan doesn't want to continue working on the project because he thought that Serkan would be really professional, but at least Eda continues working with him, and that's the first time Serkan hears it, so he's really surprised to hear that news. And then the prince asks Serkan what we already saw in the trailer, if Eda likes this scarf. Then we also have Balca kind of making her moves on Serkan, bringing him salads that he likes, and then also asking him if they can talk about some commercial thing they have going on. And because Serkan is so swamped in work, he tells her, well, tomorrow, but then she's like, no, I don't have time tomorrow. So she's suggesting to him, or was it he? I don't remember correctly, but they kind of decided on dinner, on a business dinner, where they can talk about this commercial thing. And for her to kind of say thank you to him for what he did when the robbery happened. In the meantime, Eda and Melek are breaking into the old lady's house because Eda wants to see what's in the folder. So because she still has the key from FM, she goes inside, but the old lady forgot her phone, so Tahir comes back. Melek and Eda are hiding, think that a burglar is coming in, so Melek is attacking Tahir. The old lady hears the commotion, blah blah blah, also comes in, questions why is Eda there. Eda is saving herself, kind of telling her what she wanted to be closer to the old lady, surprise her, wanted to sleep over at the old lady's place because she still has Efe's keys. And then the old lady is like, well, what's Melek doing here? So Eda is telling her that she can't sleep without Melek in a foreign place for the first time, blah blah blah, so that's why she needs Melek. And then the old lady is like, well, I will have dinner with the prince, you should come too, blah blah blah. At first Eda is declining, but then she kind of agrees to it, and Melek is like, well, I will wait for you here, blah blah blah. But the old lady is quite smart, I have to say, tells Melek to just go, that she doesn't want her in her house when she's not there. So then we have this whole restaurant scene happening. So Balcha and Serkan are already there eating, talking business. The old lady Eda and the prince appear. Then we have this whole jealousy thing happening. So Eda and Serkan can't keep their eyes off of each other. So they're both spying on each other, what they're doing, blah blah blah. And then Balcha is suggesting to get some cocktails. So Serkan is telling the waitress he's allergic to strawberries. Can he have something different, blah blah blah. Then Eda goes to the toilet and Serkan goes after her. Then we have this jealousy standoff happening between them, and both of them come back. A present is waiting for Eda, so the scarf. You can really see that the prince is also kind of looking at Serkan, how he's reacting. The old lady is very pleased when Eda is amazed by the scarf and says that she likes it, blah blah blah. And what I forgot to say is, while Eda and Serkan were gone, Balcha put some of her strawberry drink into Serkan's cocktail, and when he took a sip, he immediately got those reactions. He was feeling hot. Balcha was checking his temperature, and Eda's reaction was so funny. I laughed so much during that scene. And then the prince asks Eda to dance. So the punch was unfortunately Serkan hallucinating, and I was like, no, why? I would have loved for him to punch the prince. Anyways, it was just a dream and nothing really happened. So the old lady, the prince and Eda are going, but when Eda is walking past Serkan, he was having those coughs and really bad allergic reactions. So she was kind of feeling worried, walking really slowly past him. And Balcha actually took Serkan to the hospital to make sure everything is alright and brought him home. When he was home, he sent Balcha away, but she's like, no, I won't go until you feel better, blah blah blah. I want to make sure you're okay. And she actually sends a message to the old lady that she's at Serkan's place. So when the old lady is talking to Eda, she's telling her, well, call Serkan because I can see that you're worried, blah blah blah. Eda at first is like, no, I won't call Serkan, but then it's like, okay, I should call him because he didn't look good when we went, blah blah blah. But he doesn't pick up because he was already passed out in his bedroom when Balcha came in, saw that Eda called. So then the old lady is like, well, go check on him, I believe. So Eda goes, checks on him. The old lady messages Balcha that Eda is on her way. So Balcha is undressing herself, puts on a shirt from Serkan and opens the door for Eda. But Eda immediately sees through Balcha's act, and then Balcha quite quickly comes up with a reason why she's actually dressed in just Serkan's shirt. So she says, well, she wanted to drink some coffee, she spilled something on her, but she didn't know how bad Eda's jealousy was and how bad she would misunderstand the situation. But Eda is like, no, just go, and just throws her out. So then Eda goes to Serkan's bedroom, wakes him up, starts screaming at him, and I was like, oh my god, Eda, are we back at square one? Why are you doing this? But then Serkan is being really jealous of the prince, even tells her that, admits that he's very jealous, and then he's like, well, you're jealous as well. Eda also admits that she's jealous, and I was like, oh my god, what is happening? And then the amazing hot scene is happening, and I was like, yes, it is finally happening, yes. And I loved it, but once again, it was way too short, and I was like, why are you doing this to me? And then those cuts in between, and they filmed it kind of like blinking, so it went black, and then we saw in the next scene kind of, and then black again, and they're in a different position, black again, and he tells her, only I can touch you, nobody else is allowed to touch you. And I was like, why are you doing this to me so I can't see both of them there? And we actually, can we just be honest, we didn't see just a couple of seconds more than we saw in the trailer already. So I was like, why? I'm watching this episode to see more than the trailer, so why are you doing this to me? But okay, this is just another add to our collection. Curtain gate, shower gate, and now bedroom gate, and I really don't like this, but I'm happy that it happened. And then the next day he's still sleeping and she's kissing him on his cheek, telling him that I hate you, Serkan Bolat. And I'm starting to think that it's her way of saying I love you, Serkan Bolat, but that's just me. And then she also tells him that she's the only one who can touch him, just what he said the last night to her. And I was like, oh my god, two things that I forgot. So before Eda talked to to the old lady about Serkan and the old lady telling her to go, she actually saw the code of the safe from the old lady. So I was like, good move, Eda. And also while Serkan and Balcha were still at dinner, because he was so angry and jealous of the prince being there with Eda, he told Balcha that he's going to Paris for a day. She's like, oh my god, I miss Paris so much. So out of that anger, he tells her that she should come with him. And I thought it was so hilarious because the next day when she gave him a folder or something like that, she's like, well, my things are ready for Paris, and he's like, I'm really sorry to tell you that, but I have to go alone because of the conditions, blah blah blah. And the look on her face, she was so disappointed, and I loved it. And then her and the old lady having kind of a fight, her being like, well, your granddaughter threw me out of his place and now he's not taking me to Paris, it's all her fault, blah blah blah. And then the old lady goes off on Balcha, well, it's your fault because you are not persistent enough and you don't do your job correctly. And I loved it. Then the next day, the old lady is questioning Eda where she were last night, blah blah blah. She says, well, he was in a bad shape, so she can leave him alone. And the old lady is not really buying it. And then Tahir, I believe, comes in with the red notebook and she tells him, well, thank you so much because all the important things are in here. So Eda is really fixed on that red notebook to see what's in there. So then we see Eda telling the girls, so Jagan and Melek, what happened the night before. Jagan is kind of telling her, well, tell him the truth because he will understand, blah blah blah. Then Eda is like, no, I have to do it on my own, blah blah blah. Then runs into Serkan. Serkan is still on cloud 9 and then asks her, well, where were you? Because when I woke up you were gone. And then Eda is like, well, I needed to do some things, I needed space. And I was like, oh my god, are we back at square one? And then he's like, well, don't you trust me, or does it have something to do with your grandma? And she's like, no, I have to do this on my own, blah blah blah. So he's really confused but still gives her the space she needs. But then at the same time, he's kind of telling her that he will give her only time till tomorrow after he comes from Paris, because when he was in the office with the prince and the prince is kind of telling her that he likes Eda and kind of insinuating that he wants to make a move on her, and then Serkan is like, stay away from Eda, stay away from this company, kind of threatening him. And Eda listens to it. So then she comes in, the prince is like, well, I think that Serkan misunderstood me and it shouldn't have come this far. Goes, and Eda wants to go as well, but she likes the way that Serkan was talking to the prince. And that's when Serkan tells her kind of that she only has time till tomorrow to fix the things that she needs to, and then to tell him the truth, I believe. Oh, there was also this little talk between Eda and Balcha, because Eda wanted to talk to Balcha, and then Balcha is like, well, do you want to apologize to me for last night? And then Eda is like, what are you talking about? Why should I apologize? And that's when Balcha is telling Eda that she will go to Paris with Serkan, but Eda is not buying it and is like, okay, yeah, for sure. Because at that time, Balcha didn't know that Serkan only did it out of anger, and she still thought that she would go. And before Serkan told her that she can't come, she apologizes to him because she's like, well, I think Eda misunderstood the situation because last night I spilled coffee, blah blah blah. So explaining her explanation that she told Eda last night. Then we see Melek bringing the old lady coffee and spills it on her, so the old lady has to go out, but Eda was already in the office, takes a picture of something on the old lady's desk. Then she goes to the old lady's place, to the safe, opens the safe, and I was like, oh my god, finally we're going to see what's in that folder. And then she opens the folder and there's a note that says, don't you dare disobey your grandmother. And I was like, what is happening? And then the old lady is by the door watching Eda being really pleased. Oh, do you think you can play with me? So I was like, oh my god, this lady is so smart, wow. And then she's again reminding Eda of their agreement, kind of, so stay away from Serkan and I won't do any harm to him. Then we see Serkan on the plane asking for water, but the stewardess is not appearing, but Eda with a tray and their engagement rings. Oh my god, what is happening? She's not allowed to do this. What is happening? He's really pleasantly surprised to see Eda standing there, and then she proposes to him. I was like, what? And that's the end. I was like, oh my god, what I need to know more. But thank God we got a trailer. So next episode we're going to see Eda and Serkan telling everybody that they want to have a wedding immediately. Serkan's family, kind of, Aydan and the rest of them, are asking for Eda's hand in marriage. So that's going to be really funny. Then we will see Eda's henna party. And what really surprised me was the old lady telling Eda that she doesn't object this marriage, but under one condition. Like, what does she want? I don't think that she wants the company or the shares. There's something else and I can't figure out what she actually wants. So I'm really interested to see what she wants, because Balcha's reaction, and I think that the old lady is telling Balcha what her plan is, and Balcha is like, oh, I love it. It's once again a blackmail towards Eda, for Eda to do something, for the old lady to keep a secret from Serkan, I suppose. So yeah, my predictions for next episode will be Aydan and Ayfer still fighting for Alex's attention. Like I said, asking for Eda's hand in marriage, Eda's henna night, the prince. Maybe the old lady is telling Eda to work closer with the prince, or tell Serkan to get the project of the prince back. That would be interesting. What if she tells him that? That could be a possibility, because what else does this old lady want from Serkan and Eda? So yeah, is there anything else? I don't think so. I do hope that I mentioned everything. I hope I said everything, and I also do hope that I didn't forget anything. And if you still like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It will really mean a lot to me. Comment down below your thoughts on this amazing episode. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Ring that bell to be notified whenever I post something, and I will see you next time. Bye!